Following Nintendo's most recent investors briefing, the Switch 2 once again came up as it always does, and we have official comments from President Shintaro Furukawa around how seriously he's going to take this transition to next generation hardware, in addition to some statements that are being wildly misinterpreted online that we have to set straight, because he did not say that Nintendo Switch will be Nintendo's only business in 2024, but for some reason half the people online seem to think that that's what was said here. And then we also have on the rumor and leak side of things that we might now know when Nintendo is actually officially planning to reveal this hardware, and it might come with some slightly bad news if you were setting big expectations for the upcoming Nintendo Direct that many are expecting to now take place as of next week. We're going to unpack all of that. Before we do, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on your bell notification to join Sunbro Nation. And we have to first hop over to VGC and read through the article that not necessarily from VGC's reporting got misconstrued, but a lot of other outlets were running with the headline that Nintendo says Nintendo Switch will be its main console business in 2024, where the actual statement, and this is very important to pay attention to, reads as follows. Nintendo claims Switch is its main business entering 2024 as console clears 139 million units, and Mario Wonder debuted with nearly 12 million sales and Mario RPG at 3 million. Nintendo President Shintaro Furukawa again declined to comment on plans for its next generation console on Tuesday as the company shared its latest sales results. The exec instead insisted the current Nintendo Switch iteration would be Nintendo's main business heading into 2024. The company's plan for the next fiscal year will be shared at its next earnings briefing in May, he said via Bloomberg. Switch is now approaching its 7th year on the market, and the expectation is that Nintendo will launch a successor console later this year. The current Switch has now cleared 139.36 million units, the company shared in its results for the first 3 months ended December 31st, 2023. That means it has around 15 million units to go if it's to become Nintendo's best-selling hardware ever, beating Nintendo DS's 154 million. Outside of Nintendo's consoles, only PlayStation 2 at 155 million has outsold Nintendo Switch. So as I mentioned, the headline a lot of people were running with was that Nintendo said Nintendo Switch will be its main console business in 2024, when they are saying specifically heading into 2024. And one thing you have to know about financial results and how they are reported is that the fiscal year is different for companies than the calendar year. So while we are already in 2024, as obviously it is February, and if you are signing and dating things, you're signing 2024 now. We are in that year. However, financially, Nintendo is still wrapping up their fiscal year 2023. So as they head into fiscal year 2024, which will begin in April 1st to be exact, of course Nintendo Switch will be its main business at the beginning part of that fiscal year, because we have no official announcement of the Switch 2. So if he said Nintendo's next gen successor will be its main business headed into 2024 fiscal year, and we don't even know what that is yet, it makes zero logical sense, not to mention the fact that Nintendo Switch will continue to sell from a hardware and software perspective after we get the official announcement of their next gen console. So if you were somebody who was on the page of thinking that Nintendo just put to bed any rumors with Nintendo Switch 2 coming out in 2024, that is not what happened here. Furukawa very clearly stated through the translation that heading into fiscal year 2024, Nintendo Switch will be its main business, which obviously it will be, because that is the console that's being sold and supported right now. Now, there was also some reassuring comments around Nintendo and them taking this hardware transition very seriously when it came up through the Q&A investor call briefing, where people are allowed to ask questions. And it's good to see Nintendo not resting on their laurels of the 139 million plus sold. They are not treating it as it's a foregone conclusion that they're automatically going to sell that again going into the next console, and I wouldn't expect them to. Furukawa seems to be a very level-headed businessman at the end of the day, and you can see the quotes from this article at VGC, which read, Nintendo says it will overcome challenges of generational transition with unique propositions. Furukawa insists it's taking nothing for granted following Switch's success. During a Q&A session following Nintendo's financial results briefing on Wednesday, the company was asked what risks it's specifically mindful of as it looks to build on the success of its dedicated gaming platforms and its expanding IP business. Despite the console's blockbuster success, Nintendo said it's taking nothing for granted given its past experiences with tricky generational transitions. For example, while the Wii reached almost 102 million sales, its successor, Wii U, sold just over 13.56 million units before Switch revived the company's fortunes this generation. We approach our business every day with a profound sense of urgency urgency, Nintendo President Shintaro Furukawa told shareholders, translated by VGC contributor Robert Sefazan. This generational transition of platforms in the dedicated gaming console business is never easy. We have experienced significant challenges following successful platforms multiple times, so we never consider our current situation to be totally secure. Furthermore, as you pointed out, our business is always exposed to great competition. From a broader entertainment perspective, not only video games, but also various forms of leisure are competitors in this industry. In this environment, there is an increasing need, more than ever, to continue offering unique propositions to become a brand that customers choose. So all this is Nintendo kind of summing up that they understand that they've been at this point of success before and then really fumbled the ball with the follow-up. And so that's in the back of their mind as they're talking about transitioning into what is next for next generation hardware. They clearly know the flop that was the Wii U and that nothing is guaranteed with success, and especially with all of the competition within the gaming market and even just the entertainment industry as a whole, as they're really just competing for your attention at the end of the day. They're going to try to do things that uniquely position them to be effective in this marketplace, and that's business PR speak, unique propositions. I don't know that we can really tie that to anything substantial for what they're planning with their next gen hardware. It just sounds like Nintendo being Nintendo. Doesn't mean that they have some wacky new idea that's different than motion control or a 3D visual display or some of the crazy stuff we've seen them try in the past. Is it mean that the Switch 2 is dual screen and now we're now going back to two screens like the DS? I don't think you can read into any of that far. And if you pay attention to the leaks and rumors, also we will be talking about those in a second, I don't think that we are expecting much to be very different from the current Switch other than a more beefy version of the console that we have today. And I think you can still argue that while we do have a lot more competitors in the hybrid gaming space, that still makes Nintendo very unique. The fact that they are tackling handheld gameplay and dock gameplay with the exact same device and selling it to you all in one convenient box. Now, the very interesting part of today's news around why we might now know the official reveal timing for Nintendo Switch 2 has to deal with Nate the Hate. And you may be familiar with his track record, you may not, but this is an individual who far more often than not has been right with inside information in terms of behind the scenes talk likely coming from game devs and contacts he has in the industry. And we learn things ahead of time from this particular individual, like the date of a Nintendo Direct, the week it may be taking place, what kind of Direct it might be, and even sometimes new console hardware reveal plans. As you might remember, if you've been around on the channel for a while, in 2023, when Gamescom was going on and all of these reports were coming out that developers were being showed some kind of targeted spec PC of the Nintendo Switch 2 capabilities, that there were rumblings that something was going on in March, and it wasn't clear if it might be something like the Switch 2 reveal or maybe even a launch. Well, Nate the Hate recently had a podcast that I will have linked in the description down below. I recommend you go listen to the entire thing as it's very entertaining. Him and John Linneman from Digital Foundry do a lot of talking back and forth about what they want to see from the Switch 2. They mentioned the Direct briefly, but there's one particular line, and you can see it outlined from this post over on our Gaming Leaks and Rumors, where it says Nate the Hate thinks the next Nintendo Direct will be a partner Direct with no general Direct in February, believes Switch 2 reveal will come in March. Key bits from the latest episode of his podcast, trying to stick to what leans more on concrete sounding and not so much the speculation about more granular hardware details. And the first point in question reads, I'm going into the first Direct of the year with the expectation that it's going to be a partner Direct. I don't think Nintendo will host a general Direct this February. I think they're going to do third parties instead. He's previously stated on Family Boards that I know the exact format of the Direct and what to expect from it. And this is the important part as it relates to the Switch 2 reveal. After hearing whispers last year about something in March, I am of the belief that March is referring to the reveal timing of the Switch 2. Switch 2 reveal seems as though it's very likely to occur sometime in March, pre-GDC, which is Games Developer Conference. Nate suspects backwards compatibility is a factor in doing a partner Direct now and a general later. The reason I believe that is the Switch 2, I think, will have backwards compatibility. By holding the next general Direct to June, May, whenever Nintendo opts to drop one, there is now no risk in showing you the current Switch games with Switch 2 games, because everything would be playable on Switch 2. So the one thing to keep in mind with this is that until Nintendo makes an official official reveal. Plans can change, things can move around. I'm very surprised about the news that February we might only see a partner direct. I'm definitely of the mindset that Nintendo could still show us a lot of their first party games, or at least give us one or two more that are more simple port and remaster style, alongside of Paper Mario Thousand Year Door reveal date and Luigi's Mansion 2 HD release date, because we need that information. Although we do know Nintendo to sometimes just take to social media to reveal stuff like that, and maybe that's what we should expect for this. But I do think that if it does indeed end up being a partner showcase next week on Thursday, February 15th, which is the date that many are talking about online, that yeah, that might be more evidence than ever before that Nintendo Switch 2 reveal is right around the corner, because it would make sense if Nintendo does just want to hold back all of their major first party projects to literally line up the entire launch lineup for Switch 2. And how soon could it come out if it's being revealed in March? Well, I personally still like that September date that we've talked about, and I think that that makes a ton of sense in terms of the timing from the reveal to the actual console release. And it also gives Nintendo to get something of a foothold in the marketplace and get kind of a wave one of stock sent out before you have your holiday shopping season. And while we've talked about the reports from the LCD manufacturer stating that they should have about 10 million plus Switch 2 units potentially being shipped out in the fiscal year of 2024, which doesn't end until March of 2025 in the calendar year, that's still going to be potentially a very hard console to find. And there's even been some reporting along the way from VGC and Eurogamer and others that state that Nintendo is keen on launching the console earlier if it can supply enough console units. So could we be talking about some kind of a summer launch? I mean, even in the middle of summer, something like August or even July. I think that feels kind of fast, but I could also see Nintendo potentially wanting to sell it throughout the majority of the year in 2024 rather than just the holiday season. But I personally am setting my expectations more for that September, maybe even going in as late as October. I feel like November is a really short window to just hit kind of the holiday crowd, but you never know with Nintendo. We will have to wait and see what we see happen with all of this from here, but things are definitely heating up on multiple different fronts, and I do indeed personally believe that us Nintendo gamers will have a lot of things to be talking about and experiencing firsthand from a gameplay perspective with new exciting hardware in 2024. But that's really where I want to hear from you guys at this point in the video. What do you make of all of this? Are you with me on Furukawa's comments and you understand that he was clearly saying that heading into 2024 that Nintendo Switch is its main business and not necessarily the entire business for this year? Or are you somebody who now thinks that yeah, we're not going to see anything new from Nintendo in terms of hardware until 2025 at the earliest? I've seen some people now say this means 2026 and they were always going to go like 10 years for the Switch before unveiling anything else. I think you're crazy if you think that, but it's fine. You're entitled to your opinion. And what do you make of these claims that it might just be a partner showcase in February, not a mainline direct, and also that we might be talking about the actual hardware reveal ahead of GDC, which would happen on March 18th, I believe. So ahead of March 18th, meaning we don't have to wait that much longer to get some kind of first look, first reveal for this console, so Nintendo can essentially talk about the console with all of its partners at that event. What do you think, that that is the plan, or do you think that it will potentially be later into the year before we learn about what Nintendo is planning for their next gen console? But regardless of your thoughts and feelings on everything we talked about today, I do look forward to hearing from you all in the comments down below before we leave the video, as I do look forward to getting back and forth conversation started with you all around these topics. Go watch the video on screen next if you haven't already. Also make sure you like, subscribe, turn on your notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.